campaigner Molemo Maarohanye has, also known as Jub Jub, insists he didn't commit the crimes he is being accused of, and he's handed himself over to police in connection with charges of rape, attempted murder and assault. Now, the offences date back to between 2006 and 2010, but the National Prosecuting Authority says the first complaint was only opened in 2022, last year, of course, after the complaint was initially turned away by police. How do we even begin to combat or prevent incidents like this? Now, to help answer this, I'm joined by Behaviour-change strategist Fidel Hadebe. Thank you so much, Fidel, for joining me this evening to discuss this very important issue. GBV, again, in the spotlight, and it's something that is a disease in this country, if we can call it that. Now, this case, of course, just highlighting the fact that more needs to be done when it comes to GBV. But also, there are so many other cases like this that doesn't get the necessary attention it deserves. So let's just talk about that and this issue in the country.
Yeah, thanks, Barron, for having me on your show this evening. I mean, you're right. I mean, there are quite a number of cases, some not getting attention at all, some receiving prominent attention, like the one you are referencing just now. I mean, there's another case of a prominent soccer player who was in court recently. The expectation is that that player will be sentenced sometimes next week at the Randburg Magistrates Court. But of course, there are quite a number of cases that don't get reported at all for a variety of reasons. One of them being intimidation, of course. Another one being the sense of self-guilt on the part of the victim. Questions such as what were you doing out in the street at night? Why did you go drinking? Those sort of things. Family, friends intervening, in some instances, especially in traditional settings. Arrangements being made, to cancel out the offence, so to speak. Chickens being offered as an apology. Cows in some instances, or even goats. So it's a serious problem. But I think the point that is important to emphasize, Barron, is, as I say in one of my articles, we can throw all the money we want in addressing this problem. Resourcing the police, which is the right thing to do. But it is limited in terms of how far it can take us, given the sketch that we are facing. The important thing that we need to be doing and investing in is focusing on behavior change. Right across the nation, visible campaigns, consistent, not only waiting for the Women's Month, not only waiting for when there's a prominent case and then politicians and other prominent leaders emerge, go to court and turn the whole thing into a PR or publicity spectacle. We have to be very, very focused on this thing. It is eating on all of us as a nation, and it is just a terrible blight on our reputation as a country. We've got to act on this thing,
Oh, 100%. It just takes me back again, because we know President Cyril Ramaphosa, a while back, those 3 pieces of legislation that he signed, it just, begs the question then, how effective has that been?
Look, I must admit, it is important to have legislation, to strengthen certain aspects of your response to the crisis. So you have legislation in one part, but legislation will not address all of your problems. What you need to be doing is you need to be putting money in education and awareness campaigns targeting various sectors of societies. Because if the president, like he did just a few years ago, declared this thing as a pandemic, now, how do you respond to a pandemic? You don't respond to a pandemic as if it's business as usual or on the basis of business as usual principle. You need to change tact, you need to change perspective, you need to change approach. Now, if for instance you look at government across the sector, from local, provincial, and even national, you look at the local government level, for instance. Is there anything visible being done at that level, which is, as we normally say, it's a government next door. Why we say it's a government closest to the people, but there's practically nothing happening at that space.
Yeah.
You have taverns in that environment. You have sports fraternities in that environment. You have all sorts of things happening in that environment, but the government closest to the people, it's not visible in terms of driving campaigns and programs to respond to this crisis.
It then, you know, that very last bit that you say, it's so important for our leaders to actually take a step here. But it then brings me back to more of a local level of leadership. You know, what exactly are our elected, you know, public representatives doing, such as mayors, you know, and other leaders, community leaders as well? Do you think they're just not doing enough when it comes to this? You know, what are they doing in this fight against GBV?
Politicians set the tone in all societies. They set the tone in terms of what they want to see happen in their communities or in their societies. Now, let me give you just one example about the big political story of today, the EFF rally. I listened to the entire speech. I did not hear the commander-in-chief of the EFF. Our campuses, institutions of higher learning, they have become such dangerous spaces for young women. Now, if young women in our universities and TVET colleges are not safe, where else do they find safety? They cannot find safety in their own homes. Where else do we expect them to find safety? And once again, I want to emphasize this point. Political leaders have to start providing leadership on this thing and stop treating it as a PR thing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's a crisis, it is serious, and it is urgent that it be addressed. It's abnormal, it's not seen anywhere in the world, even in societies that we regard as very underdeveloped in comparison to our own country, but we are just facing a crisis and we've got to act differently.
100%. I could not have said it better. It is a toxic culture that definitely needs an ending here in South Africa, specifically this country, dealing with GBV. It is a disease, as we can call it at the end of the day. Thank you so much, Fidel Hadebe, behaviour and change strategist, of course, just joining me this evening on this issue of GBV and the latest rape case when it comes to Jub Jub and that case going on as well. So this is definitely something that needs more attention. And what are our leaders doing in fighting GBV in this country? It's a bigger issue that definitely needs some serious attention.